Posted by u/c_luck_8537. I, 35F, moved across the country, Canada, with my son, 14M, and my dog to start fresh. I asked my sister, 36F, to join me in the city. She lived in a small town 2 hours south of where we live now. I accepted a job offer, as did my sister, and we signed a 3-year fixed rental agreement for a 3-bedroom house. My sister and I are very different people. We have a complicated but supportive relationship. We have a lot of love and respect for one another, but we also have some on and off codependency issues from our childhood. Things were going well for the first few months. We were transitioning into this new dynamic, and while it wasn't always easy, we found systems and ways to make it work. Everything changed 3 months ago. My sister met a man and conceived on their first date. The baby is due in April. It's a welcome surprise. However, my sister is experiencing a difficult start to her pregnancy, insomnia, stress, and thyroid issues. We have not been getting along. My son and I seem to do nothing right. It's the little things, compounded. My sister is also quite entitled. She openly expresses and reinforces this attribute with humor. During her pregnancy, it's been worse, with little to no consideration for others. For example, she struggles with noise in the house. She leaves her door open for her cat and refuses to wear earplugs, instead demanding that my son and I vacate the living room and kitchen by 8 p.m. because she can hear us. I don't get home until 7 p.m. and need time to make dinner. Another example is that I had been giving her upwards of $600 a month for groceries. I have many allergies, and she wouldn't accommodate these, so I often had to eat alone and buy additional groceries. It hurt me to learn that she was supplementing her groceries with money from the father of her unborn child, meaning she was asking me for money for groceries that were already paid for. My salary is less than my sister's, and I have a dependent. She decided that the child's father, 36M, would move into the house with his dog and cat and sleep in the foyer at the top of the stairs without consulting me or my son. This area of the house is not enclosed and is positioned above the living room and kitchen, areas my sister has already deemed inaccessible between 8 p.m. and 6 a.m., as well as between 5 p.m. and 7 p.m. My son and I are essentially being forced into our bedrooms off the entry hallway. They broke up 2 weeks ago, and yet he's still moving in. He's a bit of a messy person, while my sister is very type A. To put things into perspective, she has cleaned his house and 2 storage units over the past 3 months. He's not much of a cook or cleaner. My sister told me that I'm lucky because I'll benefit financially from this situation by paying less in rent and that I don't even deserve it. Those were her exact words. I actually like the guy, I don't like the way my sister treats him, but he's a nice person. I moved for a lot of reasons. My son was experiencing anxiety and self-esteem issues related to his father. We were never married, separated after my son was born, and he's been in and out of the picture. His father drained our collective savings account for my son's education due to addiction. I couldn't secure a suitable salary in my hometown to get ahead. To be fully honest, my sister and I had a tough upbringing. The only reason I stayed in our hometown was so my son could have access to his father. But eventually, his father's absence became more beneficial than his presence. I moved so that we could start a new life and find peace. We are not experiencing peace. I confronted my sister about the use of communal spaces and told her she would need to find solutions to limit the way sound affects her. I confronted her about shared bills and asked her to post the bills on the fridge, telling her that we would no longer be splitting most groceries. I also told her that I'm not comfortable with someone moving in here. It's not within the terms of our lease, and we would need to communicate this to the landlord and ask to break the lease. My sister's response to all of this has been emotional, reluctant, and avoidant. She simply cries, yells, and walks away. She claims that I am abandoning her. I feel exhausted, exploited, and manipulated. It's affecting my work, personal life, and ability to enjoy life. My son is also experiencing anxiety. He has sports and extracurriculars most days after school, and I am adamant about discussing adult matters without him around. However, he has witnessed some arguments and knows that we are not getting along. I want to leave this situation. I know I have to. I feel like I am abandoning her, not just because she tells me so, but because everything is chaotic and I want to leave. I didn't sign up for this. I don't agree to live with my sister, her estranged ex-boyfriend of 3 months, and his 2 pets. I don't know where to start or how to do this. I know I need a couple of months to save up for first and last month's rent. Update 2 months later. Posting on Reddit was an absolute wake-up call. My sister found the post, and she and her ex completely berated me in a government building conference room after hours. When I remained adamant about moving out, things got substantially worse. My sister decided that her ex would not move in and that we would both move out. I notified the landlord and gave him 60 days' notice. I found a place for myself and my son. It's within my budget and absolutely perfect. With an exit in sight, things started to feel more tolerable. Come mid-November, there was still the issue of shared assets, so I braced for the difficult conversation with my sister via text, requesting to set a date and time to discuss things. Her actual reply was, "Suck my bleep, I'm blocking you." I remember being shocked. This was completely out of character. That night, my son and I got in late to find the internet password had been changed, with a message on the chalkboard stating that unless I dropped the topic of shared assets and prepaid the upcoming electric bill, she would not reveal the Wi-Fi password. We live in an area without cell coverage, so I couldn't even message her to call her out. I'm not proud of it, but I went to the garage, unplugged the router, and locked it in my truck. When she confronted me, she was furious. I can hardly remember what she said now. What I do remember is that she was cruel and almost violent. In that verbal word vomit, she revealed, "You have no idea what I've been through, I miscarried." At that point, I asked her to give me a few minutes to process. I left shortly after, taking my son and my dog with me, leaving the router on the porch. Embarrassingly, I offered to stay the night and keep her company. I now realize that, in order to support someone, we have to ask ourselves if it's safe, if we have the capacity to offer support, and if the person has the capacity to accept it. She gave a half-hearted apology a couple of days later. After that, she grieved independently, almost silently. My son and I grieved separately, being careful to follow her direction and boundaries of not talking about it. Weeks felt like months. The house was cold. Any level of contact or coordination sparked a fight. In therapy, I began to unpack the events of the last year. I learned a great deal about myself, particularly in regard to my self-integrity. I've come to understand my role in perpetuating her controlling behaviors and my lack of self-esteem, which snowballed under our shared roof, leaving me in a state of ambivalence and complacency. I recognize the ways in which my sister held little to no regard for my autonomy, often using emotional manipulation to force my submission. I know this is abuse. I also know that when she got cold, I got colder. I am not innocent in all of this. Someone once described us as an immovable object meeting an unstoppable force. I think there are times when we each play either role. I carry deep compassion and love for my sister and remain forever empathetic. I remain optimistic that she will come to her own realizations that reconnect her with her humility. I am terribly sorry for her loss and often find myself worrying about her well-being. I have hope that, in time, we can build a stronger, more sustainable dynamic. I am painting my bedroom at my new place. Even with my son on the other side of the country this holiday, I feel at peace here. I hope my sister finds peace too. A day will come when we can overcome some of these hardships, but that day is not today.